While the BMW i3 has now been in production for 8 years, BMW hasn't yet produced an all-electric car that sits in the segment that BMW is probably best known for: performance sedans and coupes. And most famously of all, its 3 Series. The i3 and its plug-in hybrid halo sports car stablemate, the i8, in its various forms, were put in their own special BMW sub-brand. The former offered a premium 4-seat electric city car with an optional range extender for longer distance trips. The latter offered an incredibly expensive, high-end sports car aimed at the top 1%. And to date, there's never been an electric BMW that's captured BMW's key market. Sure, we had the very competent BMW Active E, but that was a limited production vehicle only made available to the public in certain key markets under a lease program designed to help BMW refine its electric vehicle technology, all ahead of the launch of the i3. Like I say, nothing in terms of mass-produced, performance-oriented driving machines in the shape of a sedan have existed before. But luckily that's changed, with BMW pulling the curtain back on the 2021 i4, a fully electric model that's based on the legendary 3 Series and which BMW is very clearly going after Tesla with. The reveal, which was due to take place at the Geneva Motor Show, but because of a certain human malware cancelling the show completely, has just taken place online. And so here's what we know about the car thus far. The BMW Concept i4, to use its official name, is being presented by BMW as less of a concept car and more of a final revision to the i4 before it actually enters into production next year. And while some are hanging on the term concept and using it as justification to accuse BMW of not really being serious about electric vehicles, my take here is that since the i4 is still about a year from production, BMW wants to make sure it isn't shooting itself in the metaphorical foot by unveiling the car now and then finding it needs to modify some element or other further down the line prior to production. First up, let's look at the design. Based on the 3 Series, the i4 is a low-slung 4-door sedan with 4 seats and an all-glass roof. It's not clear if the production version of the i4 will get that roof as standard, but in an age where glass roofs are becoming more and more common, I really wouldn't be surprised. Right now, the i4 seats 4, but I'm guessing that it will become a 5-seater by the time the car enters production next year. In a similar vein, I expect the interior to get a more practical trim for production, with perhaps some darker trim options for those who want them, as well as more traditional BMW-themed front seats. In the concept, BMW is touting a seat made of a combination of microfiber cloth and natural olive tan leather. As it's electric, and BMW has focused very heavily on recycled interior materials in both the i3 and the i8, as well as the upcoming iX3, which will beat the i4 to market by a year or so, I wouldn't be surprised if we see recycled fabrics make an appearance in the production i4, but hopefully with a few more practical and hard-wearing choices over what we're seeing in the show car. I'd also like to see a non-animal interior option as well, as it's now possible to have a very high-quality faux leather interior without needing a cow. In front of the driver, there's a very clear and clean dash, which, as we've seen in the past, is designed to be thoroughly customizable. The driver's information screen and what would originally be a center console screen are merged into one touchscreen curved unit. According to BMW, the i4's dashboard also responds dynamically to the driving mode selected, from the core and efficient modes through to sport. Interestingly as well, because the car has a touchscreen display, BMW is promoting the ability to rearrange the various widgets and on-screen elements using a drag and drop personalization methodology, which I'm assuming is only available when the car is stopped, and I'd also guess can be paired to specific drivers, alongside being able to control the car with BMW's usual iDrive system. On the outside, the i4 isn't all that revolutionary in its design, with standard door handles, which is something I'm actually quite surprised by, as well as very pronounced narrow front lights. The only thing I really don't like about it, that massive kidney grille, which actually isn't a grille because the car is electric, and thus it's a giant... well, I'm going to call it an emblem to allow the car to be identified as a BMW. Yeah, let's leave it at that. As I've noticed several times, this is a car that is technically being called a concept, but which, also by BMW Say So, is a car that is unlikely to change all that much in the next year. And so I'm fairly confident in talking about the specs that BMW has released. Under the floor, there's an 80 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack and, says BMW, a quote up to 600-kilometre range on the WLTP test cycle, as well as a 4-second sprint time. Top speed is expected to be, quote, in excess of 200 kilometres per hour. That's all possible to a 5th-generation BMW electric drivetrain, which the company says will put out 390 kilowatts of power. That should be more than enough for what is essentially a mid-sized sports sedan, and I should also note is more power than the current M4, as well as being a little quicker in its sprint times than the said vehicle. Sure, the M4 GTS has an edge on the i4 right now in terms of sprint time and top speed, but remember that this i4 we're talking about right now is what I presume will be an entry-level model. There may be an M performance variant. As we've seen in the past, though, even though BMW's i4 will be based on the 3 Series, it's likely that it will sit at the top of BMW's performance charts, thanks to that electric drivetrain. As to price, well, that's not been mentioned yet, but several outlets are guessing somewhere in the $50,000 price point. If I had to guess, I think I'd probably agree at that estimation, because if it goes much higher in price, it just won't compete against the Tesla Model 3. And BMW really want this car to compete against the Tesla Model 3. What do you think? Do you like it? Do you like the specs? And are you a bit meh about the grille, or do you like that too? Leave your thoughts below. That's it. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to help us make more videos like this, please do like, comment and subscribe. Send us a couple of dollars our way every month through Patreon. Send us some coffee through Ko-fi, or buy some swag from our swag store. I'll be back soon with more content for you all to enjoy, but until then, keep evolving.